I'll start just to note that we are in the student experience, wellbeing and student success session today. So thank you for joining wherever you are, especially if it's after hours for you. So it's great to see so many of you. What I'll be talking about is what the topic suggests. So we are talking about student experience. We're talking about some of the services that are available to students, and we're talking a little bit about how to make the most of your degree. So just to start by introducing myself, my name's Shari. I'm the Student Programs Coordinator, so quite a lot of the programs we'll be talking about today actually fall under my remit, and I'm really excited to share some of those with you. I'm part of a bigger team called Student Success, which looks after, again, quite a lot of the services offered, and we're part of the Student Services team, so we're really excited to see you next year. There's so many different ways you'll be able to interact with my teams, and it's really fantastic to see some of the things that we have set in store for 2021. So with any session, what I just want to start with is an acknowledgement of country. So what I'd like to do is to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I live and work. So that for me particularly, that's the Wurundjeri people and the Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation. I'd also like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'd like to extend my acknowledgement to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people present today. So welcome to this session. So like I said, what we're going to be talking about is quite a lot of the extracurricular or co-curricular activities that are available at the University of Melbourne. So what we're really covering is everything that's not study, everything that's not your degree. And I'm talking about, again, some support services, assistance services that are available to you, but also some things that make life enjoyable, things that help you build experience and things that help you develop some skills that you may not necessarily have the chance to do in your academic career. So the topics that I'll be covering are starting confidently, what to do in those first couple of weeks of your degree. I'll also be talking about getting involved. So some of the other things that you can do throughout your degree, what you can do beyond your degree, and also, again, some of the services and support that you can access throughout your degree. We have the questions and answers open, so please feel free to pop your question in the chat and we'll cover some of those in the session today as well. So if you have any questions, just feel free to let us know and we're more than welcome. We're more than happy to cover some of those. So first topic, let's jump straight to the first topic, which is starting confidently. So you would be thinking of coming to the University of Melbourne. The next little bit that I'm going to cover is some of the things that you'll experience in your first few weeks, acknowledging that it is a really it's such an exciting time to come to university, but also it can be really nerve-wracking. And we know that it's a big transition. It's coming to a new place. It could be moving to a new city for some of you. It could be moving to a new country for others of you. So it is a really big transition. And a lot of the things that we put in place in the first couple of weeks are really there to support you and ensure that that transition is as smooth as possible and that you feel as confident as possible to start your degree, because that's really at the heart of what you're doing at the University of Melbourne. So as you can see, what we're going to cover is some of those big programs and some of the things that you can look forward to, especially in the orientation period. A lot of them are designed under what we call the Student Life program. So I'll talk a little bit about that, but you can see that there's a few things that we'll be covering. These programs are really the best way to get the most out of your studies. It's a great way to meet new people and also learn a bit about how to do university. So like I said, we're talking a little bit about student life. With the student life, this program is designed so that you receive support. And that's something that I'm going to keep saying that word throughout, because support is one of our biggest things. We want to make sure that you do get that academic support, that personal support, and that developmental support. So that's providing opportunities for you, providing a range of co-curricular activities, a range of activities for you to meet other students and older students, to meet our alumni, and also expose you to a range of different pathways as well. The first thing that I'll talk about is the Melbourne Commencement Ceremony. So this will be in your first week of university. This is an orientation week. The Melbourne Commencement Ceremony is for all undergraduate students. It's a huge ceremony. So all of you come together in the Royal Exhibition Building and you're officially welcome to the university and your faculty. There's a bit of a merch pack as well. So one of the things that we love giving out is the exclusive student hoodie. And it's also a chance again to meet some of the academics and meet some other students in your degree. Like I said, every undergraduate degree has their own ceremony. And so with that, every undergraduate student is invited to attend the ceremony. It will be in that orientation week. So we're talking about the 21st to the 25th of February. And you will get an email inviting you to that. So that's one of the things you can look forward to. It's a great time. It's a really special moment as well. And it really does formally mark the start of your University of Melbourne degree. Attached to the orientation commencement ceremony is the peer mentor program as well. So if you're a little bit worried about starting new at university, if you don't really know anyone, if you're not sure how you're going to meet other people, the peer program is a program again for all first year students. And so it will be attached to that commencement ceremony. You'll be going to the commencement ceremony, but also meeting your peer group at the same time. So you'll be assigned to a peer group with a student mentor. So they're an older student, they've had a couple of years of university, they know some of the things that you'll be going through at the moment. So what it's like to start, what some of the first year subjects are like, what kind of clubs that you might want to join, and they're there to give you advice and support. They'll also be looking after a small group of you as well. So you'll be able to meet other first year students that you may not necessarily be in touch with. And so you also get to meet regularly throughout the semester as well. This is a group, a network that we provide for you in that first semester, just so you do have someone to check in with regularly. And so you can talk about some of the things that you're experiencing in that first semester. So like I said, you'll be matched automatically, you'll be assigned to a host, and it will be part of the invitation to the commencement ceremony. We've had a question come through about the orientation hoodie and the orientation online. So if I'm unable to start semester in Melbourne, will orientation be online and can I still get my hoodie? Absolutely. Orientation is one of the programs that my team in particular does look after. And what we're doing is there's going to be what we call a hybrid model. So if you're not able to attend, we acknowledge that everything's still a little bit up in the air. We're not sure about borders. We're not sure about some of those issues, and things are changing every day. So we do have a lot of the orientation, most orientation sessions will be offered online or recorded and put up online. And you also, if you're unable to make the ceremony, there will be an opportunity for you to collect the hoodie later on. So again, acknowledging that you may not be able to attend in person, and we will make accommodations and there will be sessions provided for you. So don't worry if you're not there in person for whatever reason. There's more than enough support services available for you to catch up or you to feel like you're part of that community. And also just to note that the commencement ceremonies will happen online as well. So they'll be live streamed. You can join them if you're not necessarily in situ in Parkville. And also you can join the Melbourne Peer Mentoring Program online as well. So we will, there will be different versions of those. There'll be an online version and an in-person version. So just to note that we are covering all angles. I really want to make sure that you're feeling reassured by that. So feel free again to ask any other questions through the chat. Okay. We've just got a little bit of feedback from the peer mentor program. So like I said, all first year students are matched with that peer, and you can see some of the quotes from the students. It was a really great way to navigate. Sometimes just trying to find your way around campus can be really confronting in the first couple of weeks. So having an older student to say, I have this room on my timetable and I don't know where it is, and they can help you find that. Or not knowing which floor of the library you need to go to, or not knowing how to borrow a book, or not knowing which sessions to book into. These are the kinds of questions that you can ask your peer mentor. So it can be a really great way to fact check, or just to feel reassured that someone, you've looked up something, but you just want to make sure someone will say, yeah, no, that's definitely what you need to do. And again, acknowledging that it can be a really tough year. So having that network for you, having that group of people that you regularly check into, you can see one of the quotes there does talk about building that network. And it is a really great way to meet other students. Okay, cool. If we'll just see if any questions come through for the peer mentoring. Again, ask questions at any point and I will jump back to them. So the other thing that I've talked about the commencement ceremony and the peer mentor programs. They're both big part of the orientation program. Cool. Just a question about the peer mentoring program. So will I be assigned to a peer studying the same program as me? Yes, they'll be in the same degree. So if you're a Bachelor of Science student, you'll have a Bachelor of Science host. So that's how the program is assigned. It's by faculty. Okay, so orientation is, there's part of this bigger program. So the commencement ceremonies will be one component of that. The peer mentoring program is another component of that. And then your faculty welcome will be another component of that. So there's a lot of sessions, there's a lot of information sessions to really help you get set up and get started. What I really want to draw your attention to in this part of the presentation is that there's so many other things that are happening during orientation. And these are some of the things that I just want to maybe talk about for a little bit. So we'll come back to social breakouts later on. It's later in this presentation. But we will, there is a program called the Orientation Challenge. So again, the peer mentoring program connects you to other students. But if you're thinking, I maybe want to explore the campus a little bit more, I want to talk to some other students, I'd like to work together in a group, or if you're online as well, what we have is this program called the Orientation Challenge, which matches you to 4 other students, and each day it will release tasks to you. So we call them quests, but it will release a quest to you to say, you know, make a team flag, or find the statue on campus and all of you pose in front of it, or it might be a bit of a scavenger hunt in some of the websites. And again, that's a really great way to meet other students who are studying or starting at the same time as you. They may not necessarily be in your degree, so it's a good way to build that network as well if you want to start looking at things like breadth subjects or start meeting students from across the campus. We do have the social breakouts as well. So the social breakouts is a program, and again, I'll talk about it a little bit further on, but it's just another way to casually meet other students. So just to feel some social connection to students, because the biggest feedback we get with orientation is, I'd really like to meet other students. So many of these things that I feel like I'm talking quite a lot about it, but finding those students in the same situation as you and building that network and really just reaching out to other students to make friends in that first week is so important. I also want to draw your attention, and again, I'll touch on UMSU quite a lot, but UMSU is the University of Melbourne Student Union. So the University of Melbourne Student Union runs what they call Summerfest. It's a carnival. It's a huge carnival on campus. And there's going to be the carnival day. There's going to be clubs expos. So all 250 clubs will be on campus. So you can talk to them, find out what they offer, find out what kind of membership they have, what events they run, and ways that you can get involved on campus. So I'd really encourage you to look at that list. There's something for everyone. And again, I'll come back to that point later on. There's also what we call the host tours. And again, this is similar to the peer mentoring program in the sense that you're assigned to a group, but this is a physical tour of the campus, and there is a virtual tour available as well. But this is just in case you're feeling a bit nervous about the size of the campus. I personally have been on campus for about 13 years and I'm still learning new parts of it. So it's about checking out some of the buildings that you might go to, looking at some of the spaces, and talking about places that you might, go to study, places you might go to eat, places you might go to relax, or places you might go for your tutorials and your lectures. So it's really just helping you navigate a little bit. It's really putting that orientation part in orientation. So I'd highly recommend that you join some of those programs and just keep an eye on that schedule. So the orientation schedule should be up by the end of next week. So when you log in, you do need to accept your offer to be able to see it, but you can have a look at what's on offer. And there's about 300 events in that, but you can narrow it down to your course as well. So check the things that are relevant to you. The next stage, I guess this is step 2 of peer mentoring. So peer mentoring is to meet other students, but once you've really settled in and once you've completed a semester, in semester 2 of your course, you'll start what's called the academic advising program. And the academic advising program operates in a really similar way, but instead of being assigned to a peer in your degree, you're assigned to an academic. So this is a really great chance to get to know your academics in a small group. They have extensive experience in teaching. They know, they do world-class research, as it says here. So you might get assigned to someone studying, we've got some great academics. So you might be assigned, if you're doing biomed, to someone studying solutions to COVID. You might be able to ask those kinds of questions. You can also talk to them a little bit about how to plan your degree as well. I want to be a researcher like you, or I want to see where this degree goes. What can I do with it? And they'll be able to support you with some of those experiences and make the most out of them. Again, any questions about that, please let me know. But all of these programs that I'm talking about, so the commencement ceremonies, the peer mentoring program and the academic advising program are new programs. So we've only been running them for about 2 years. So it's really exciting to be on the forefront of these. The academic advisor, like the peer mentor, you'll meet with them for 4 to 5 sessions throughout your degree. But again, that's the formal program. So if you, there are always ways to reach out to your academics and to make time to talk to them. You can always join the office hours. And again, I'll probably touch on a little bit of this later, but it doesn't mean that this is the cutoff. So if you do want to talk to your academic advisor more, you're more than welcome to reach out to them. These programs are really just to build that bridge so that you have some contact and you can work with them. In terms of the program, you'll have one formal academic advisor, so you'll be assigned to one throughout the actual program of academic advising. But if you want to reach out to another academic and ask for their advice, ask for their mentoring, ask if you can drop in, you're more than welcome to reach out. So you're not restricted to just talking to one academic at the University of Melbourne. Like I said, the program itself formally assigns you to one academic, but there's nothing stopping you from reaching out to others and asking for their advice. I'm really glad to get that question because it does talk a lot about, it shows that you guys are really proactive. You're already asking these questions of how can I get more? How can I talk to more people? How can I make more connections? And it's really exciting to see those come through. So I'm really, really glad to see your enthusiasm. We're about to talk a bit more about some of those things as well. So we're talking a little bit more about getting involved on campus. The first, like I said, I've talked about orientation. I've talked about some of the things that might be offered in those first few weeks. But then for the rest of your degree, there's always this chance to get involved. And there's so many reasons to do it. Again, I'll touch on some more of them later on. But some of that social connection. I know we've had a bit of feedback sometimes that it can be a bit of a shock going to university and seeing, if you're in, say, the Bachelor of Arts, you have 12 tutorials with people, you see different people in lectures, you see different people in your classes. And so it can be sometimes feel a bit like, oh, how do I make friends? How do I see more people more often? And a lot of these programs are trying to build that constant participation. So I'll talk a bit more about social connection, and I'll talk a bit more about clubs and societies. So I did foreshadow that I would talk about social breakouts. I'm really excited to talk about this, partly because I've been heavily involved in the planning of this, and it's one of my favorite programs. It's such a great program, and it's really, it started 2 years ago because it came out of a need for students to socially connect during lockdown, and it's such a great program. So what happens is, it's really just a hangout space twice a week, at same time every week. It's usually Tuesdays and Fridays. There's a Zoom room, so you just drop in. You can come and you don't have to attend every week. You don't have to attend every session. You just drop in whenever. And what we do is we randomly assign students to breakout rooms. So you'll be put in a breakout room for 15 minutes. We'll give you an icebreaker question, and it gives you a chance to chat to students for 15 minutes. Obviously, you'll get warnings if the 15 minutes are about to if they're about to be up, but you start to see the same faces come to every couple of sessions. So it's a really great way if you're feeling like, oh, I'm not really talking to enough people, or maybe I want to meet some more students. This is such a great program just to be able to drop in, to have really kind of short conversations, guided conversations, but a chance to meet a different group of students each time. So, and like I said, you can come back and you can ask students to exchange contact details. This is just a chance for you to meet them. Cool. We'll keep going. So again, I feel like I'm talking a lot about getting involved, but there's just so many opportunities available to you just to get build some of those social connections and start to kind of look at some of your interests that may not necessarily be covered by your degree, or may not be things you've even thought about looking at. So these are some of the suggestions of what we would say, but again, there's so many more. We've got a sport program, so MU Sport, there's fitness, there's clubs, there's, gym classes that you can go to. There's even things like you can join the cheerleading club, you can join the badminton club. So again, these are ways to kind of get more kind of a casual team interaction if that's what you wanted. You can volunteer in UMSU. And again, I talked about the University of Melbourne Student Union. There's a bunch of volunteer programs that you can join at any point. So you can drop in, you can volunteer for things like VC Summer School. You can volunteer to be one of those hosts for the tours as well. So if that was something that you wanted to do, you can volunteer to be a peer mentor as well. So UMSU has a whole bunch of things that you can do. And there's also things like welfare programs as well. So you can volunteer for those if you wanted to man the barbecues, if you wanted to, help with giving out food at certain points. There's so many opportunities in the volunteering departments. Again, clubs also have faculty-based clubs, so you can join those clubs, and they run things like social events, so you can come along to like a Bachelor of Science barbecue, but they also run things like networking nights, so you can meet some student alumni from the same degree, you can meet some of the academics, so they work really closely with the faculty. And just to note, yes, it is free to join clubs and societies. So some of them may have like a small membership fee that goes towards things like some of the events, but most of them are free to join. There's also things like if you're interested in getting outside, you can volunteer in the community garden. And as of 2022, we'll be opening the student kitchen, student pavilion. So there'll be more spaces that you can get involved and more spaces that you can kind of bring out that creative food side of you. If you're into music or if you're into art as well, we do have a bunch of galleries on campus. I think I'm not even going to count, I'm not going to say a number, but we do have quite a few. So if you wanted to go to the Ian Potter, if you wanted to go to the Science Gallery, which is opening next year as well, if you want to see some of the university orchestras or join some of the clubs that play music, again, those are open to you. So if you're thinking, I'd really, I want to learn how to juggle, or I really want to join somewhere that volunteers with animals, just check out the club's page and start from there, and you'll be able to see some of the opportunities available to you. So now we're just going to talk a little bit about what we call more than a degree, which is a little bit cheeky to say, but it's really just to note that, like I said, there are so many opportunities for you to be able to get involved and to try new things at the University of Melbourne. So if there are things that you want to highlight, or if there's things that you want to work on, or if there's support that you need, these are some of the things that we have available to you. So I'll talk a little bit about some of them. I'm going to start with what we call more of the support and wellbeing services, just because we really truly believe that in order to be your best and succeed, having that strong foundation in place is super important. So one of the things, and again, I'll talk through quite a few of the programs just to touch on what they are. But we do have a range of support services to make sure that you are really responding to your wellbeing, and you're able to make sure that you're supported and feeling safe and healthy and well. So we do have the campus community team is one of the teams that we have on campus. If you are feeling particularly things about financial aid, they have things about resources for finding sources of funding. They've got scholarships, they've got information on government payments. They can help you find housing, some of those options. And they also provide loans as well. So if you found yourself in a situation where you need to buy textbooks really suddenly, maybe your car's broken down, there are all these examples where you can get a loan from the University of Melbourne, and they are interest-free. So you can speak to the financial aid team for that. They can also help you with general student support. So it's a really knowledgeable team. If you're just feeling maybe I'm not feeling like I'm the healthiest I can be, or again, I need some financial aid, or maybe I'm having a dispute with a housemate or a landlord, this team can come in and support you with those and really help talk through it, just because we don't want you to feel like you're alone in those. The university will always help with those kinds of things. Just touching a little bit on safety as well. Again, this is really kind of a fundamental principle at the University of Melbourne. So we have what's called the Safer Community Program. We're really committed to making sure that you do feel safe, you feel inclusive and included, and you feel respected while you're on campus and you are part of the University of Melbourne community. So this includes both the physical campuses and this also includes online spaces. So we provide support and advice for students for anything that you might experience on campus that makes you feel a bit threatened, makes you feel a bit unsafe, or makes you feel like this isn't necessarily the most respectful community it could be. So they offer advice on how to seek support and guidance on that. And there's also really great initiatives as well. So there is an app that you can download. If you're studying late at night and you don't feel safe walking to the tram, a security guard can escort you as well. So that's the kind of support that we offer. It's a really great service. Someone has asked, is financial aid only for study-related expenses? No. So the loans can be, you just need to talk to an advisor and work through some of those things. If it's something to do with housing, again, if it's something to do with personal expenses, they're more than happy to work through with that with you. It doesn't have to be just for your textbooks or just for your degree or something. Cool. So we'll jump a little bit to some of the other services that we offer. So we do offer health and wellbeing services. And again, I'm going to touch on these kind of step by step, but just to note that we do have the resources and support for you. So if you're feeling that there's anything that you want to talk about, things like mental health, some of the some health services as well. So if you need to talk to a doctor or a GP for something, things about wellbeing and things about faith and spirituality. So again, like I said, I'll talk about these individually, but just to note that we do have a health service. So the health service is available physically. It's very, very close to campus, and you can visit them from 8:45 to 5 o'clock. So you can book online, or you can download the app from the iTunes or Google Play Store. And again, you'll be able to find this information online. We are running telehealth appointments as well. And this is, you don't necessarily have to be a domestic student to access this health service. It's free for students, provided that you do have that international student insurance. So we recommend Bupa, but it's the overseas student healthcare, the card that you get when you apply. And like I said, it's free. It's a great opportunity if you are feeling like maybe you need to just drop in. Maybe you need someone to talk to a doctor about something. They also do things like COVID shots as well. So if you do need another vaccination later on. And they also have a range of mental health services and sexual health services as well. So they are pretty multi-talented. And I'll talk a little bit about special consideration later on, but if you do need medical sign off, if you were to, you broke your arm before an exam, the university GPs can help you with that as well. Counselling and psychological services. I just want to stress these services that I'm talking about are all free as well. So I know that that's a question that's come up a couple of times, but anything that I talk about is for all of the services, all of the appointments are free to join. These are offered to you as a University of Melbourne student. So counselling and psychological services, this is a counselling service that's available for you. So we could do a range of different things. You can book appointments through counselling, and you can get free appointments to talk to a counsellor. We also you can book a crisis appointment as well. So you can contact them at any time, and they run a range of wellbeing workshops. So these aren't necessarily just if something's going wrong. If you want to maybe work on your resilience, or maybe work on some of your exam stress, or maybe even thinking ahead to how do I be more confident about making friends, or how do I talk to other students, the counselling and psychological services also helps with some of that developmental side of wellbeing. So it's a really great place to work with them. They also run things like mental health training as well. So if you are looking to build some of your employability skills, if you are looking to work in a space that requires that, if you want to go start volunteering in the community, you can actually do that training through the University of Melbourne. So they do offer that for you as well. We've had a question about certain number of appointments we can access. So they're unlimited. I want to say unlimited, but also with the caveat that, again, they can get really busy at certain times of the year. So just keep that in mind. But if you're unable to book an appointment, or if they're booked out, what you can do is call them on the day and see if there's any cancellations, or you can call them to get recommendations where else your insurance will be accepted. So they have all of that information as well, and they can recommend you within network. Okay, so we've covered about health and wellbeing and counselling. I just touched before a little bit on equity as well. So this is just to note that we do have the equity and support services for students. And this is both a short-term equity. So if you have, again, like I said, if you've broken an arm before your exam, if something's happened and you need to go home quickly, or you need there's an emergency and you can't complete your assessment or your exams, or a piece of assessment that needs to be handed in, this is where you go for short-term special consideration. But there's also the long-term special consideration. And so things like if you have an ongoing health issue, If you are a carer, if you need to work with an advisor for any of these reasons, so elite athletes, chronic medical conditions, care, like I said, carer duties, or even if you're fasting for Ramadan and you're not really sure that that's something that you can study well during that time, these are the kinds of things you can talk to the special consideration team about. So again, if you do have anything that you think it might be worth registering at the start of the year, we really strongly encourage you to make that appointment so that that can be case managed throughout your degree. And it doesn't have to be negative. So again, we know elite athletes, for example, they're training all the time. Reservists and emergency volunteers, they might be called away for certain things. So it's not just really responding to things you feel that it's a health issue, but if you've got other ongoing things in life that may take time away from your degree, it'd be good to talk to one of these equity advisors, because they can really help you through a plan. And they can also be there if something pops up or something takes you out or you can't complete an assessment. We do really strongly, like it says, encourage you to register early and to access support when you need it. Cool. And the last two slides, I guess, under the wellbeing and foundational things, we're talking a little bit about chaplaincy. So we do have a chaplaincy service that represent a range of different faiths on campus. So things about spiritual life, and you can talk to them online. They run a range of social events as well. So it's good to meet students, who have the same beliefs as you. And just if you want to talk to other students about some of these things that tie you together, it's a really great chance to reach out. They also provide advice as well in a slightly different way to some of the other support services we have. So again, if this is something that you're interested in, you're more than welcome to talk to one of the chaplains. And just two more things again about wellbeing, but I just wanted to note that we do have a health promotion team. So if you're thinking, I love the sound of this is fantastic, I really want to talk to more students, I want to get involved, I want to tell them about this health service, I want to tell them about wellbeing, and I want to promote the healthiest lifestyles I can. We also have this health promotion team, which is made up of a number of students across campus. And again, they run events, they run campaigns, they run different things about community health and social change across campus. And again, you can see more here, but again, I'll share these slides with you as well at the end. We do have a question about the services that are only available on campus. So no, since all of our services are available as a hybrid model. So again, if you're not able to access them physically, you can do telehealth, you can do Zoom appointments, and there are ways to access all of the services online or in person. So just really encourage you again to check those out no matter where you are in the world. Cool. Just one more service. Again, I'm a little bit biased in this one because this is one of our programs and I'm so excited to tell you about this one. But just to note that we have had a couple of new initiatives that have popped up through COVID-19, but we really do want to keep them going. So we've got what we call the Second Bite program. And again, if you are feeling like, you may not have the money to get, if you need some additional support in terms of getting food, we give out free meals each day. So on campus, you can just come in, you can pick up 5 for the week. You can come a couple of times a week, you can come every week. So that's an ongoing service that we're running till at least February next year. We also run a COVID hotline as well. So if you do want to talk a bit about, testing or work through some of the COVID responses that we have for the University of Melbourne, you can call them. And we also run things like, again, the student, I'll talk a bit more about some of those services. There's also the Melbourne University Sport as well. So I know the question about services only available on campus. Melbourne University Sport has worked so hard to make sure that all of their things are available online. So if you're looking for a range of exercise programs, if you're looking for advice on how to stay fit, if you're looking for a workout that you can do at home without any equipment, these are the kinds of things that you can find through University Sport. So they have an app as well that you can check out. It gives you tasks every day. It gives you a recommended workout. And it puts you in a competition with other people if that's what you want as well. So I find that really motivating to be in a step competition with some of my colleagues, but there are ways that you can tune if you want to do that a bit more casually. And just to note that I've talked quite a lot about some of the support services, but this is really just an overall view of the student support services available to you through Stop One, which is what we call the hub for student services. All of these services, except the health service, are available in the same building. So if you do need to find someone, if you do need to talk to someone, you'll find that they recommend to different services available. So and again, just to note that they are all online and in person as well. So there's a few options. You can also chat online as well. I personally used to hate calling people, so chatting online was a really great way to kind of start with those questions I wasn't really sure about and get a really quick response. So that's a really great way to talk to them if you're not really sure of how to approach that. And they will recommend you to things like, if you're wondering, how do I make these kinds of appointments you keep talking about, you can always ask the Stop One help desk and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. So feel free to ask about any of the things that I've talked about today. Okay, we've got maybe 10 more minutes. So I just want to touch on some of the other things. I know this is probably on, it might not be on your mind. Like I said, you may not have made a career choice, and that's absolutely okay. You know, starting university is a big step in itself, and you might change what you want to do. You may not have any idea. You might just want to see how the degree goes. So we do have a careers and employability service. I really strongly encourage you to start working with the careers and employability service and starting to participate in some of those things early on, just because like when I was a student, I didn't think that the word career applied to me because I didn't know what I wanted to do. But part of the thing that you do with the university is build some of those skills. So I built, you know, presentation skills. I did some skills on project planning, and all of the things that I built throughout my co-curricular activity at the university led eventually to me being a project coordinator. So it's really great to see how that built up. But I always thought that the word careers didn't apply to me because I didn't know what I wanted to be. So just I'd really strongly to encourage you to start looking at some of the workshops. Things like the group studios, again, they run workshops about how to run your LinkedIn profile, how to approach employers, how to find a part-time job. That's a question that's just come up. And also how to maybe use some of the skills that you might need. So build some soft skills that really complement the technical skills that you're learning in your degree, or some of those more theoretical skills that you're learning. We also really help you apply some of the things you've done in your degree. So again, I mentioned that I studied at the University of Melbourne. I did a research degree, and if I was to talk about that without help, I wouldn't know what to say. But now I can tell you, I managed a project, I analysed data, I worked through information, and I did a really strong communications piece. So we really help you draw out some of those experiences and talk about them as skill development. We also have a jobs board as well. We've got a resume checker that runs your resume through and gives you recommendations on what you can do. And that it uses about, I think it's 1,000 other resumes, and it kind of gives you a score and recommendations of how to work through. And there's also a range of career tools as well. So resources and information. We also have really strong industry links as well. So we have partnerships with a bunch of different businesses, both in Australia and overseas. So you can look through and find out some of those workshopping sessions. You can explore industry information sessions, and you can look at things like the careers and employability fairs as well that happen every year. So again, really strongly encourage you to start thinking about some of these things and start exploring what you might want to do. I know, again, there was a question about finding part-time work. So I do want to draw your attention to the Students at Work program as well. The Students at Work program is a paid on-campus employment opportunity. And this employs students in internships and small and casual roles across campus. So like we said, we've employed 300 students, and I've had 2 interns this year, and they've been so valuable to putting together some of the projects that we do, because you provide a student experience, you provide a different perspective, and you're able to bring some of those things that you might have learnt in your degree to a professional work experience. So again, this is a formal network of internships, but also casual roles as well. You go on a mailing list. So this is something else that you can consider while you're doing your degree, if that's something that you wanted to do. There's different streams as well. So you can work in different areas. If you think, maybe I want to do marketing, maybe I want to do events, maybe I want to do data processing. There's all these different opportunities to try different areas. Great. So we've got about 5 minutes left. I'm just going to jump to if we do have any more questions or comments. So we've had a question about, can I do an internship in first year? The answer to that is yes, and it's a bit of an extended answer. So I'm just going to try and summarize it really quickly. The students that work internships tend to be second and third year. So in terms of that on-campus official program, that is reserved for later year students, just because we want to give you time to settle in. But if you are thinking, I'm ready to do an internship with a company at the end of my first year, I want to apply for summer work, we will help you with that. So we'll help you with that application, and we'll help you with using our jobs board to find some of those. We've got another question about internships. Will the university help us find internships? Again, that answer is a bit of a complicated one, just because there's so many different internships available to students. So there are internships that you can do through your faculty. You can do an internship subject, and a lot of those you'll be placed into an internship. So that's one of the ways you can find them. But if you're looking for kind of outside the university structure or outside the subject structure, you can use the jobs board. You can network with some of the employers that come in, and you can talk to the careers team to help you find internships. So we'll give you ways of looking, we'll give you opportunities, we'll give you networks, and we'll give you exposure to different professionals as well. I should mention that we do have a very strong alumni network. So one of the things that you can do is draw on some of the alumni who've graduated the University of Melbourne through some of those programs. So if you're thinking, I wonder what it's like to work in one of the big four, or I really want to know what it's like to be an academic, we'll provide you with the opportunities to ask those questions to someone who's experienced that. So again, that's something that's available to you. Do we have any other questions today, or I know, again, I'm so excited to see everyone asking questions about internships, about when can I do things, can I do more? It's really great to see those questions come through. We've had a question about, will study be online or on campus? Again, fingers crossed. It's a difficult question to answer, because it's one of those situations that's changing every day. We just don't know what the state of things are, but we are planning ahead with the assumption that all our students will be back at some point next semester. So really hoping, but if that is to change, or if that's going to be a longer process than we think, or if it's going to be a staggered arrival for students, again, there'll be offers to you to make sure that you have a hybrid model, that you can access all of the services and all of your teaching and learning at any point through any medium, just to make sure that you are supported. Can first years have a part-time job at the university? Again, that is the Students at Work program does tend to hire students that are in later years, but that's not the only program on campus that hires students. So UMSU offers a lot of, the University of Melbourne Student Union offers casual roles for things like event support. And I mentioned things like cooking barbecues, or, working on the information desk, or even like working as an usher at the theatre. So there's a whole bunch of range of opportunities. And our job board does actually have a section where you can search on campus. So it doesn't, if you are a first year looking for work, you can search that on campus job board to see what's available. I'm so excited that everyone's asking, how can I get more involved? It's great to see those come through. Do we have any other questions or comments? Great. Okay, so just to note, thank you so much. We've talked a lot about the student experience, wellbeing, and student success, and I really want to emphasize, I know it's a lot of information to take in, so this will not be the last time that you see this. We have so many different programs that are available. I personally will be running through this through other programs and orientation, so we'll talk more about it. And if you ever are unsure, or you've got an inkling, I remember hearing about a health service, I remember hearing about careers and employability, you can always ask Stop One and ask them for more information, and they'll help you with that. So at any time, reach out to us. Don't feel like you need to write down all this information or take it all in. You can reach out at any point throughout your degree. So we really strongly encourage you to do that. Great. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone.